Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. It is your boy, Void Kage, and I know it's been a long time, but I have been busy. Anyway, this is What If Deku was the son of Kowichi. You might be wondering who Kowichi is, and he is the main character from My Hero Academia Vigilantes, my favorite manga at the moment. So yeah, it has been for a very long time. But let's not talk about that. Anyway, let's get into the video. Now, where this video starts, we see a 11-year-old Izuku doing parkour on top of some buildings. He's currently late to school, and he's trying to get there as quickly as possible by jumping over skyscrapers and such. You might be wondering how he's able to do this, and it's because of his nature. Izuku is a very energetic kid, and he's basically the same as Canon, but he's just a lot more confident. Now, back to the story. Izuku's halfway to school at the moment where he spots a villain. Now, this villain is robbing a bank, and there is at least 5 heroes at this bank trying to stop the robbery, but they are unable to do so. Izuku, seeing an opening with the villain having a hostage, aims his hand at the villain. Okay, let's see if the training works. As he uses his hand to distort the air and shoot his father's signature attack, aka the Shoot Ego Blam. This attack would hit the villain in his face, causing the villain to slam into a glass door, and enabling the heroes to head in towards the villain, ending up capturing him, and the robbery would be over. People will be looking to see where the attack came from, but by that time, Izuku would have already headed off, jumping to another building. Now, you may be wondering what Izuku's quirk is. Izuku's quirk is the same quirk as his father, Slide and Glide, but it is a more powerful version. Because of his mother's telekinesis, Izuku has a lot more control over it than Kowichi. Henceforth, his doesn't need to be used while having 4 body parts or 3 touching the ground. He can use 1 body part or 2, or none at all. As some people may know, this might be spoilers for some of you who might want to get into the anime. Kowichi from birth was able to fly, but due to his mother using a mind control quirk on him, he had forgotten about that ability. But Izuku doesn't have that problem. Izuku has full control over his mind control, over his flight ability, because his mother did not shut that down. Now, if you're wondering how Izuku has all these abilities and knows how to use them, his father was in his life for at least 7 years, until Kowichi ended up getting captured by the Hero Association for vigilantism. So he's currently in jail. As some of you may know, Kowichi is by far the strongest vigilante, next to Knuckle Duster and Pop Step. Kowichi being a vigilante since he was a teenager, going toe-to-toe with a lot of big villains, and even fighting against All For One time. And he also is friends with Aizawa and Tenya Ida's big brother, Ingenium. Now let's continue the story. Izuku ended up making it to school before his teacher would have noticed him coming through the window. Now, if you're wondering, Izuku and Bakugo aren't really friends in this one. Bakugo does see Izuku as someone to look out for, but Izuku doesn't like Bakugo's over pessimistic attitude and him having a basically God complex, so Izuku wouldn't find that to be friend material. Everyone would notice Izuku coming into the class as a teacher, but they wouldn't say a word. Everyone in the school is cool with Izuku because he's a very upbeat person, and he loves to help people, along with his father. The two of them can't do anything without helping a person. Anyway, Izuku would carry on with his school day, and this is where he will unfortunately run into some problems. Instead of the Sludgeville incident happening when Izuku is 15, it would happen now. Izuku would be on his way home, trying to get there as fast as he can because he promised his mom he would help her clean the house. Izuku would walk under an overpass and end up getting captured by the Sludge Villain. In this timeline, the Sludge Villain didn't really hesitate, he just latched onto Izuku without any warning. But Izuku would have it under control, at least he would think so. Izuku would then use his distortion ability to distort the air around his hands to set off a bunch of shooty blams, ripping holes through the Sludge Villain, but the Sludge Villain wouldn't be affected by this. Izuku would notice this quickly, but he would manage to hit the Sludge Villain in the eye. The Sludge Villain would be thriving in pain, but that would only motivate him enough to deepen his hold on Izuku.
Damn kid. I'll make sure they end this quickly.
As the Sludge Villain would be attempting to take over Izuku's body, but right as he did so, All Might would burst out of the tunnel. I am here! Detroit, smash! As All Might would send his smash directly into the Sludge Villain, blowing him off of Izuku. This, unfortunately, knocking Izuku out. All Might would then pick up the Sludge Villain in this timeline, still making sure that Izuku's fine, but he wouldn't be hesitating to stop because he has to go somewhere very important. In this timeline, he would be looking for a successor very early because his injuries are a lot graver than in the canon storyline. All Might's time limit instead of 3 hours would be an hour in this timeline because of overuse and him going up against All For One a second time. This being masked by the Toxic Chainsaw fight. So yeah. Izuku would wake up seeing his book out and an autograph being on it, this being All Might's autograph. He would be super bummed that he didn't get to meet All Might, but he would take it as a blessing in disguise because he might be the only person who has a All Might autograph in his school. Izuku would then be watched by someone who was close by when the Sludge incident happened, but he wanted to see how Izuku was dealing with it. This being Knuckle Duster. Knuckle Duster would have been watching Izuku and saw when All Might took out the villain, but he would keep his distance for now, simply just watching Izuku. Now, we have a little time skip. Izuku is now 12. Izuku is a junior in high school, not high school, junior high, and he is currently walking home from school again when he bumps into someone. He bumps into a man with black hair and a scar across his face. Hey kid, what's your name? Izuku Midoriya? What's yours? That isn't important right now. I'm an old friend of your dad's, and I will train you. What? You train me? Sorry dude, but I'm good. Plus, I don't even know who you are. Let's just say I'm the guy who trained your dad how to be a vigilante. Wait a minute. You're a Knuckle Duster, aren't you? Yeah, seems Kowichi told you about me. Yeah, he told me that you were a hard-ass teacher who always beat the crap out of him. Yeah, that sounds like me. Anyway, kid, I saw what you did a year ago against that Sludge Villain. I've been watching you ever since. Not as much as I want to, but hey, it works. Anyway, I want to train you. You want to be a hero, right? Yeah, but I'm not going to be a vigilante like you guys. I'm actually going to go through the system. Pretty straightforward. I like it. Anyway, follow me. As Knuckle Duster would bring Izuku with him. Izuku would follow along just to see where this is all going. Knuckle Duster would take him to a facility where he would see a bunch of training equipment. Izuku would immediately be amazed by all this because he hasn't really trained physically enough. He's at a pretty built body type, but he isn't that built like Season 3 Izuku. Basically think of Izuku before Season 2, I guess, at start of Season 1. That body type right now. Now, time skip because I don't have enough time. Over the years, Knuckle Duster has taught Izuku in close quarters combat and how to use his powers more offensively and defensively, like Koichi's auto defense ability. If you don't know what that is, spoilers. In the manga, Koichi versus... I forgot what his name is. I think his name was 6. Yeah, Agent 6. Anyway, Koichi versus 6. He has this auto ability that he defends attacks before they even land, or his body automatically defends against attacks. This uses his distortion repulsors to allow him to direct the attacks away from him, or just negate them in general. So yeah, that's basically it. Now, we have Izuku preferring to go to UA, but this is the last day of school. The teacher would walk in, giving his same speech as in canon, and throwing up the papers. But this time when Bakugo would have his outburst degrading everyone, Izuku would stand up for them. Hey, Baku dork. It isn't your choice to debate who can go to UA and who's gonna do what. Everyone has their own way of doing things. Just because you have a powerful quirk, that doesn't mean you get the right to degrade them.
What did you say, Deku?
Bakugo would still had given Izuku the name because Izuku was a late bloomer. Everyone got their quirks at age 4, but Izuku got his at age 5. Bakugo and Izuku would have a stare down, but the teacher would eventually break it up. Now we have Izuku heading home. Izuku would head home and then immediately put on workout clothes, taking a jog towards Knuckle Duster's facility. Izuku would end up at a facility where he would be doing a lot of training, a lot of weights, boxing exercises, and basically endurance training. He'd be doing this for the next 10 months, and now we have Izuku at the gate of UA. Well, Dad, at least I'm not late like you were. Anyway, let's do this. Izuku would walk in through the gates where he would immediately fall, but before he managed to fall, he would use his repulsors to boost himself off of the ground and do a front flip. He would notice a girl reaching out her hands towards him, and he would then raise an eyebrow. What were you doing? Oh, I saw you were about to fall, so I was going to use my quirk on you, but seems you have it all under control. Anyway, I'm Ochako Uraka. You? Oh, Izuku Midoriya. Oh, okay. I guess I'll see you inside? Yeah, same to you. As the two of them would separate and walk away. Now, the interaction with Ida in the observation room wouldn't happen, and if you're wondering about Izuku's written test score, Izuku would get at least a 95. Izuku is pretty smart in this AU, and Koichi is smart as well, but he mostly acts goofy and acts retarded a lot. But he has a very high intellect. Anyway, let's move on. Now we get to the practical portion. Izuku would be wearing a tracksuit, basically an All Might tracksuit, but instead of the bottom that came with the tracksuit, he would be wearing black joggers, black sneakers, and gloves. If you're wondering why he was wearing the gloves, they are basically a type of support gear that Koichi has. His gloves that has reinforced knuckle pads, I think, where he uses them for close quarters combat. He would have had these registered and they would allow him to use them. Now, Izuku wouldn't really pay attention that much to see Uraka being out of it for the test, so he wouldn't try to go talk to her in this one. As soon as the gates opened, Izuku immediately used his distortion repulsors to blast off, or basically just slide as fast as he can with his 2 feet on the ground, hovering above it, and with one of his hands letting off his distortion ability to pump himself forward. Everyone would see this and immediately think of how fast he is, but they would also say he's cheating. When someone would go out to voice their complaint to President Mike would tell them that there are no countdowns to the real battle. So everyone would immediately start running as well. Some people would catch up to him, mainly Ian, people with speed-based quirks, but Izuku would break off from them. Izuku would bounce onto a building, then shoot himself off of the building, landing in front of three-pointers. Him using his shooting oblams to hit them through the head, piercing through the metal. Now if you're wondering how he did this, Izuku and Kowichi, their shooting oblams are strong enough to pierce through metal, as we saw in the later parts of the manga. If you didn't read the manga, go read it, it's pretty freaking good. Anyway, their shooting oblams are strong enough to rip through metal if they actually put in the effort. Normally the shooting oblam is a defensive and offensive attack, mainly delivering blunt force damage, but if they concentrate enough, the shooting oblam can rip through people's skin and pierce through metal. So it's pretty freaking powerful. Anyway, Izuku would carry on doing this, ripping through robot after robot. Now the teachers would be in the observational room looking at this, but the main person who would be interested in this would be Aizawa, because he recognizes that attack and those movement patterns. Him using the same type of movement that Koichi would use, except that he doesn't have at least 3 body parts on the ground, he's mainly using 2. Aizawa would be fairly interested in this, and Nezu would notice this. Aizawa, do you seem to know that, young man? No. I think he's the son of someone I used to know. Hey, Nezu, could you show me his file? Oh, most certainly. As Nezu would give Aizawa the file. Quirk, slide, and... oh my god. Nezu would ask Aizawa what's wrong. That's the son of the Crawler. As everyone would be shocked by this, the Crawler had a son, and he's actually attempting to be a hero. I guess instead of being like his dad, he actually wants to go through the system this time. Well, I guess we should keep an eye on him. He seems to have a more powerful quirk than his father, I think. As Aizawa would let everyone know that by voicing his observation. Everyone would then look at Izuku, seeing Izuku has skills by bouncing off of the ground and buildings to get a bit of speed, slamming his fist into robots, or using his shooting oblam to attack them. Or when the robots would be shooting their bullets after him, he would use his repulsion auto dodge, or he would use his auto block ability to distort the bullets and cause them to fly past him. Now, after 10 minutes has passed, Izuku would actually get over 185 points. Him helping some people along the way, that causing him to get at least 20 rescue points. Izuku would then feel a bit of rumbling, and he would notice the 0-pointer. He would attempt to run away, but then he would see Uraraka underneath the rubble. Izuku would immediately rush after Uraraka, reaching her and shooting off the rubble off of her leg. He would pick her up, then run away. And he would outlast the robot by running through the gate, which causing the exam to be over. Recovery Hill would then appear, taking care of everyone's injuries, and Uraraka would thank Izuku. Izuku would be pretty tired at this point, so he would head home. And I'm sorry to say, but that is where I'll be ending the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Peace.
Yeah, that gas go straight towards my brain. On the screaming, yeah, the screaming.